The Prophet ﷺ, never in his life did he ever lift his hand to hit any human being, ever. Not a servant, not a wife, not a child, not a friend, nor an enemy, except when that enemy was opposing Allah and opposing the message. And when the companions of the Prophet ﷺ used to look for him on the battlefield, they said, Wallahi, we found him in the middle of the enemies, fighting. And they said, we used to seek the protection of his person. We used to hide behind the Prophet ﷺ on the battlefield. He was such a warrior and statesman on the battlefield, commanding and fighting for the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But once he was off the battlefield, his eyes were downcast and he was speaking softly, and he was gentle, and he was warm, and he was sacred and soft and caring and crying. The Prophet ﷺ was also, during the course of that day, feeding the poor, visiting the sick, discharging the army, acting as a statesman, acting as an arbiter.
A lot of our mental issues can be minimized by our physical things. So you see a lot of times, especially in the Western countries, that people work in the office, they drive to work, and these are two things that the people before used to do with their own bodies. So they used to work, so most of their work will be using their body rather than, and when I say their body, I mean like hard labor, basically moving things around, building and all these kind of things. And nowadays people are just stuck in the office with computers. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if you're doing something like that, then try and roll to a gym, or try do a few walks a week and few runs or things like that, so you can balance it out. I'm not saying that using a car to go to work is a bad thing. If you're working far, then of course use the car. At the same time, don't use the car for a 2-minute walk to the shop. But obviously having a car is very difficult for a lot of people to kind of balance it out. So it might seem like it's a lot what I'm doing right now, but in fact, if you compare to how people back in the days used to go on their life and how they used to live, they used to do more than this. I'm not trying to compare us, but I'm just trying to say some of the problems that we have now is because of our lifestyle. So yeah, I'm gonna stop the talking and get on to it.